It's recording. Let's see. Here we go. Dude, I just texted you like 27 times. I have so much to catch you up on. Hello. I'm sure the angle from down there is very pleasant for you. Enjoy it. Anyway, I feel like I should start with my intro. The intro that I didn't get a chance to nail down before I disappeared from the internet for 3 months, but let's just wing it. Improv. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hi. Wait. Hello, and welcome back to FaceTime with Emily, a series where I do a mundane task and chat with you while I do that task as if we are on FaceTime together. And today is a true FaceTime with Emily because right now you are down on the floor with me and the lighting's terrible. Also, here's the thing. If you didn't watch my last video, my girlfriend and I just moved into a much bigger 2-bedroom upgraded apartment. And the whole idea of getting a second bedroom, besides having a place that our friends could actually sleep that wasn't our miniature couch, was so that I could have like a filming space because my girlfriend also works from home a lot of days a week. And so if she was trying to work and I was trying to film, it just wasn't gonna happen because I'm very loud and obnoxious and chaotic when I film, and she has a job where she has to concentrate and actually be an adult. She decided to work from home today, which is amazing. I love spending the time with her, but that also meant that I couldn't film until there was a little bit of break in her work because even though we have a second bedroom now, I still get nervous filming in front of her when I know that she can hear me. So even though we have a second bedroom where I can close the door, I knew while she was still out in the living room doing her work, if I were to come in here and to film this video, she'd be able to hear me and then I'd be anxious. And then I'd be anxious and worried and I wouldn't be able to film it as confidently as I am right now. But I also didn't want to go to her and be like, you're on the clock, but I need you to get off. And the plan was that while she had her hour lunch break, she was going to go run some errands and do some returns and pick up some things because she's also going out of town, not the same place as me, but we're going out of town at the same time. And she didn't end up taking her lunch break to do that because she got swamped with this project. I don't even know what it was. She does smart adult people things that I don't understand. And so she didn't end up going and taking that lunch break. That is why I'm on the floor. Okay, I need to pack. The video got a little postponed. It's dark out now, and so I have my crappy $25 ring light set up from Amazon, and so I'm sure I look absolutely flawless. And we're down on the floor because very specifically, I've already packed my clothes and my toiletries as much as I can, but now I have to pack camera stuff. And this is always a very anxious task for me because I'll show you. I have a ton of camera equipment, and every vacation I go on, I have to choose what kind of videos I'm gonna film and what equipment I'm gonna bring with me. And I also have to look at the state laws or country laws of whatever place I'm traveling to because I do have drone equipment where a lot of the places I travel, it's illegal to fly. And so I'm already a very anxious person, clearly, and trying to figure out how to narrow down my massive quantities of filming equipment brings me huge amounts of anxiety. And I always end up overpacking equipment and never using it and then getting mad at myself because my equipment that I bring, I don't ever check it or put it in a carry-on because you know how sometimes if you get on the plane, not in the first few boarding groups, they'll be like, oh, all the overhead luggage is full. We have to save it for the people in first class that pay us extra for it. So let me go ahead and check your bag. No, I'm not putting my cameras in the airplane's undercarriage. And so I have 3 different backpacks I travel with. Let me just show you real quick. I keep my camera equipment in the guest bedroom under our guest bed. Don't know if you can see that because I can't see what I'm filming. We have an 18-inch bed frame. It's 18 inches off the ground so that you can put storage boxes underneath, and then it makes it so that your bed doesn't require a box spring. It's really cute and it's on Amazon. I guess I'll put a picture of it here. I don't make any money if you go and buy one, but in case you're curious, we do have room in the guest closet where I could store my camera equipment, but I have seen so many horror stories of pipes bursting in homes and apartments and people's closets get flooded or water coming through the ceiling. So my little mischievous plan is I put all of my backpacks and all of my camera equipment and whatever in these in these bins that I can put lids on. So that already protects it. Plus my most important camera equipment is in this waterproof bag. And then I store it in this bin that has a like lid that goes on it. I just took the lid off before I started filming, but picture a lid up there. If I was to put it somewhere where it doesn't have the bed on top of it, then the water, even though it has a lid, eventually the water would penetrate it. I don't like that word, and I'm so sorry I just used it. But you know what I mean. And so if I put it under the bed, that's like triple protection. Waterproof bag, waterproof box, and then if the water does start raining from the ceiling, it'd have to go through our giant 12-inch mattress before even getting to the waterproof box and then before getting to the waterproof bag. So that's my very long-winded explanation as to why we are on the floor. Hope you enjoyed. Also, this is my butt pad that I now have to sit on as a 32-year-old lady. You sit on it like this. Like my legs go that way. My feet dangle down here. And then my little tailbone has this little cutout because I spend so much time sitting in a chair editing and doing work that my tailbone's bruised. Because it's not pathetic enough being 32 years old, I have to have a bruised tailbone from doing absolutely zero activity. Anyway, this FaceTime with Emily is going to be on the floor while I'm deciding what camera equipment I want to bring to Florida with me. If you don't know and you didn't watch my last video, I'm headed to Florida in 12 hours because my best friend and her 3 kids and her husband are all moving to Europe next month. And right now they live in Virginia. So I'm going to fly tomorrow morning from Austin to Virginia. We're going to spend 3 days in Virginia where they live currently while they're finishing the last finishing touches on selling their things and their home and getting things in order. And then me and my best friend and her 3 kids are getting on an airplane and flying down to Florida where her and the kids and her husband are going to live for a month with her mother so that they can get some more stuff in order. I don't know. They have a whole big plan. I don't really understand it. I'm just along for the ride. And her husband is going to drive their 11-year-old Great Pyrenees named Spudley James. He's going to drive Spudley down to Florida because Spud's too old to fly. And so I wanted to help out my best friend because, oh my God, I love those kids. I would perish for those kids. I have to be careful on what I say. Yeah. YouTube is very strange on certain words that you can say. I mean, we've all known this. Any social media platform is very weird on certain words that you can say that will get your video immediately demonetized. And I realized recently, if you say the word perish, unalive, but like, you know, the 3-letter word for it, they're like, nope, no money for you. So anyway, I would perish for those children, but her flying alone with a 5-year-old, 3-year-old, and 1-year-old by herself. Plus, they're not shipping anything to Europe to where they're moving. I have to ask her if she's okay with me talking about what country she's moving to and where they're moving to or whatever, because she likes to keep her kids offline and their lives private, and props to her. But they're not shipping anything over to Europe. They're just taking suitcases. So when I say they are and they know this, and she would not be mad at all for me for saying this, they are a very privileged family. The kids are very well endowed with toys and items and clothing and stuffies and whatever. This amazing woman narrowed down their technically 5-bedroom home into, each of them are taking 2 checked suitcases and 1 carry-on and 1 personal item. She has absolutely condensed everything down into just that. They sold everything and then they're just going to repurchase once they're over there because it is cheaper to sell your things and then to buy a new one or used one over there. So anyway, she was going to try to navigate through the airport with all of that luggage and her 3 children by herself, and she weighs like 75 pounds. I know the middle one likes to be carried when she's a little overwhelmed, which, girl, same. The baby definitely likes to be carried when he's overwhelmed. Older one, he's a champ. He'll just run and do his thing. And then she was going to try and carry all of the luggage on top of that. And I said, Miss Ma'am, I'm going to be there. 1, because I love spending time with them. But 2, because, oh my God, the girl needs some help. And obviously the husband can't be there to help them because they have to drive the dog down. It was just like a no-win situation. And so I said, please let me help you. And she said, cool. Anyway, let's get to it. Emily, this has been a 15-minute long introduction. Shut the hell up and do what you're supposed to do. Oh, also forgot to mention, hopefully it's in the title, I asked my Instagram followers, here's my Instagram if you don't follow me. You should probably go follow me. I don't know, it kind of made me happy. Up to you though. I mean, you don't have to. Anyway, ask my Instagram followers if they had any questions for me because I did disappear for a while. I also have a bunch of new people on my platforms, which I'm very grateful for. And so I wanted to get on and answer some questions while I did my camera stuff. So we're gonna do that. But first, I do want to show you. If you haven't seen my Ireland video, I don't think I can put a link within a video, but at least here's the thumbnail. It's down a few videos on my page, so if you go to like view Emily Brostaff's channel and then you like happen to trip and fall on the subscribe button and fall on the bell notification button and click all notifications, when you're done with that, you can scroll a little bit and you'll see this video. And this is how I got into videography in the first place. When I was a freshman in college, we had to pick a piece of technology and then make a movie about it and go over the history of it and how it's contributed to history and, you know, yada, 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 yada. When you know it, my partners got really lazy and said, I don't know how to make a video. And I was like, guess I'll figure it out. And so I started watching YouTube videos to try and figure out how to use iMovie on my MacBook, figured it out, and I spent 3 days putting that movie together, not because it required that much energy. It was just supposed to be what I think was a fun project, even though the professor took it very seriously. I would have gotten a good grade on it if I had stopped after day one, but it was so much fun figuring out the technology and like lighting and editing and whatever. I instantly fell in love with video editing and filming. And I remember in that moment, as soon as finals were over, I started looking into film schools instead. But someone squashed that dream for me because I went to someone and I said, hey, what if I don't go back to regular college and instead I go to film college because this is really amazing and I love it and I think I'm pretty good at it. And they said, ha, you silly little girl, that'll get you nowhere. I mean, they were kind of right, but kind of not at the same time. I mean, I'm doing pretty good. I feel like I'm doing pretty good. So, and then after I figured out that I could edit, I decided to double major in history and digital studies so I could learn how to code websites. I learned how to use Final Cut Pro and Adobe Premiere, which are the big editing softwares that a lot of YouTubers use. And I learned how to use all of these different cameras and drones and gimbals. And oh my God, it was just so amazing and it made me so happy. But because I was so scared that that truly would not get me anywhere in life, I still continued to also major in history just as backup. And ask me how many days I've used my history degree. Go ahead, ask me. Yep, 0. Anyway, when I graduated from school, I had all of this knowledge on how to use this equipment and how to use this technology, and I made my very first travel video. And it was because for my graduation, because my parents didn't think I was capable of graduating college. I was such a horrible child. I mean, I wasn't, but like I was at the same time. And so I never implied to my parents that I wanted to amount to be anything. Not that you have to go to college to amount to be anything, but my parents had to give me a nice push to go to college. They were so worried that I was going to rebel for that push, which like how freaking privileged is that sentence? That my privileged parents had to force me to go to college? Oh, what a terrible life. Okay. Anyway, I get it. You don't have to write it in the comments. I already know. But once I was there, they were scared I was going to rebel and waste their money because even though I do have student loans, they did help me pay for a lot of it and they didn't want that money going to waste. They didn't want the time going to waste. And so as an incentive, my mom told me that if I went to college, again, you don't have to tell me. I already know how privileged it is. My mom told me if I went to college and I graduated, I can't remember if she said graduated with honors or just graduated, but I sure did show her up. She said she would take me to South Africa for my college graduation present because when my sister graduated, they gave them a big chunk of money as a down payment so that they could buy a home. And I know I've said on this channel a lot before that I grew up very poor and I didn't have a lot and blah, 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 and you know, whatever, you know the story by now, except I never really told the story. I've always just said I grew up poor, which I did. Trust me, again, someone wrote on my last video, it's always that one comment that gets me. Someone wrote on my last video and they said, you really shouldn't refer to yourself as poor because you have a roof over your head and you have a car and you go out with your friends and you have fun. And so you're not really poor. And I get what they were saying. I do. I very much understand what they were saying, but this is not one of those instances. I truly grew up poor, but by the time I was graduating high school and about to go to college, my parents' finances took a very nice turn. And I don't know how much I want to share, but it took a very nice turn to the point where when my sister did sibling, I need to get better about that. And I'm not going to cut this out. I'm not going to edit it because I do want to acknowledge that my sibling, Sarah, this is all over the place. Can you tell it's 7:30 at night and my ADHD medication is completely worn off? Anyway, my sibling, Sarah, obviously grew up knowing Sarah as my sister, using she, her pronouns. And I want to say a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, Sarah came to the family and said, I would really like to go by they, them pronouns. And so even though I am constantly online berating people for not picking up on people's pronouns and being disrespectful of them, I still make the mistake. And I think I've talked about this before on the podcast that I used to do, but if you do have someone in your life that has changed their pronouns, or even if you're meeting someone new and they are not the pronouns that you initially assume, and so you kind of have to work at making sure you're using the correct ones, you don't have to make a huge deal out of using the wrong ones like I am right now, but I figured I could use this as an educational moment. Because I referred to my sibling as my sister and she, her for 30 years of my life, I still find myself tripping up. And when I do that in front of them, I think like it even happened over the last time I was home. Sarah was sitting down in the chair in front of me. I had my hands on their shoulders, and I think I said something along the lines of like, oh yeah. And then when they did this, and it's like, you don't have to make a huge deal out of it. Obviously, hopefully the people in your life know that you have good intentions if you're correcting yourself. But I have heard a lot, and maybe I should ask Sarah about this and what their opinion is, but I have heard a lot that if you do mess up someone's pronouns, instead of being like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, and blah, 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 and like making it this whole big deal where then they feel the need to comfort you about your mistake. Because if you're standing in front of someone and you use the wrong pronouns and you're like, oh my God, I hate myself, I can't believe I did that, blah, 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 that person is going to feel obligated to be like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, when they're like, it is. So if you just make a mistake about pronouns, as I have been doing, instead of using sibling and they, them, just be like, oh, whoops, and then just like move on. Thank you for coming to my side tangent. Back to the story. My parents' finances very much turned around. And so when my sibling was done with college and graduating, my parents were able to hand them a chunk of money. It was a couple $1,000s, which is huge. So to make it even, I guess, even though I personally have never fed into the whole I need things to be even with my sibling, my mom did say, if you graduate college, I'm pretty sure she said with honors, because she wanted me to do well. Because she was like, if you're going to go to college, like make it worth something. Like don't just go to college to go to college. Don't just go to college to make me and your father happy. Go to college and prove something, like make something of it. And so I'm pretty sure she said, because we gave your sibling this, chunk of money, if you can graduate college with honors, I will take you to South Africa to go on a safari, because that had been my dream since 8th grade. I used to have a pen pal in Tanzania starting in 6th grade, and we were pen pals 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade through our school, because I had a teacher that would go, and now I know, like, ugh. Didn't know at the time, I was a child, but I had a teacher at my Christian school that would go over to Tanzania on mission trips. And so she would come back and she would bring back the letters, and we would send letters and we would send supplies and like whatever. So don't yell at me for that. I was a kid, I didn't know. And I fell in love with Tanzania. And so I did initially ask my mom to take me to Tanzania if I graduate college with honors, but it ended up being, I can't remember if there was something like political unrest going on, or maybe like South Africa just ended up being a little cheaper, but we ended up going to South Africa. While I was on that trip, I knew I wanted to make a travel video out of it, because I swear the reason I love photos and videos so much is because I have the world's most terrible memory. It's so bad. And so I swear that's why I love pictures and videos so much, because I have these incredible moments and memories and everything else like that, and then it just flutters out of my brain. But if I have the video or the photo, then I can always look back at that, and then it instantly pops back in my head and I can remember it. And so I knew when we went to South Africa, I was gonna make a big video about it, and that was my first travel video. And one day I'll show it on my channel, I think. It's just, I took that trip 10 years ago, and there is some stuff in that video that nowadays would not be acceptable, and I'll just go ahead and own up to it, because I would like to share that video. I can't figure out if I want to share the video as is or if I want to attempt to bring that video back into an editing program, but I do have to decide if it would be like okay to post that video, because at the time that we went to Africa, we did ride elephants, and the company that we were touring with did tell us that it was ethical, and it's not. And everything I have read since then, I feel horrible about it. 2 years after coming back, I stumbled across my first big internet movement about trying to ban elephant riding, and immediately was horrified that we participated in that. And To be fair, these were not abused elephants. They were not for show. They were all elephants that had had something horrible happen to them through poachers, or they were being protected from poachers. And the way that their sanctuary would earn money is by offering elephant rides through the savannah to people that would come, and then that money would feed the elephants and pay for vets and rehabilitation and whatever. But now that I'm older and more educated, I realized there were other ways to raise the money, and that was unnecessary. And so the elephants weren't like beat or hit or anything like that. But the fact that we were still riding them makes me want to crawl out of my skin. And something else in that video is my parents hired, and I know it's so privileged and so bougie, and you don't need to remind me, I recognize this. My parents hired a private driver when we went to Africa because there were 3 different places in South Africa that we were visiting, and I think my parents just felt better about having one driver taking us to all of these different places rather than like plane hopping and bus hopping and taking taxis, whatever. We just had this one guy sticking with us, a local. We were putting money right into his pocket. It made sense, and I think it's okay. But they hired this driver, and this driver on the side would go into, what did they call it? The name will pop into my head, and if it doesn't, I'll put it somewhere on the screen. But basically during the apartheid in South Africa, which if you don't know what that is, again, I'll make a whole nother video on all of my experiences in South Africa. The white government ended up corralling all of the local Black people in South Africa's capital into what can only be referred to as a shanty town. And he worked within that shanty. I don't want to call, if that's politically incorrect or like not proper or whatever, I'm so sorry. And please feel free to tell me down in the comments. But that place was like, I still get goosebumps thinking about that place. And he works there. And so he drives privately for the families on vacation, and he works at a dance school within this. I'm going to look it up because I don't want to keep calling it the wrong thing. A lot of the families still living in this forced community, they can't get out because the only way to get out of this literal government mandated community for them is to earn their way out. Like they have to earn enough money working that they can go and buy a home somewhere else. They can come and go, as in they can drive cars in and out of there, they can walk out of there. It's not a closed off, guarded jail type scenario, but a lot of them are stuck there financially and can't get out because of all of this racism and horrible stuff and forced poverty and a lot of political issues. They don't have the same opportunities, obviously, as the white or upper class citizens to get out of there. And so a lot of the families that live in there don't have great education, and they don't have a lot of money to take care of the children. And so a lot of the children would just run around this area. A lot of them were ending up pregnant because they didn't have proper sex education or they didn't have supervision. And so our driver told us one of the days that he was driving us around Cape Hope, he was telling us how he runs a dance school when he's not driving to try and give the kids something to do, to give them adult supervision. And then he also teaches them sex education and teaches them basic health things and basic living things. He basically just takes on the role of a dad, which I think is amazing. And I'm not trying to accuse, but I don't know if it was my parents that asked if we could go visit his dance school or if he offered. I'm not sure which, but I just remember getting in the car and one of the days he took us there. And so that is a lot in the video. This white family walking into a poor village and picking up kids and dancing with them and feeding them food. And if you don't know why that's an issue, I will make a whole video about it and I'd be very happy to educate you. So like, it's not funny. Like, it makes me feel so ashamed. Again, I didn't know, but that doesn't mean it was right. And so I'm not sure how I'm going to go about that, posting that video, because I don't want to promote elephant riding and I don't want to promote privileged white people walking into impoverished areas and playing with the non-white poor children. But I also don't know if I'd be able to bring it in and edit it the way that would like do it justice. I don't know. That's for another day. But anyway, what I was trying to get at, my point that's way off there in the distance is I ended up making my very first travel video and absolutely fell in love with that kind of videography. And every vacation I took from then, I made a travel video. So if you go to my Instagram and you scroll down a bit or just like go to the Reels section, you can see I made an Iceland video. I have a Thailand video that I have never published because I did go to Thailand with my ex-wife. And even though it's incredible memories, my ex-wife and I are very good friends, I don't know if I want to put that online and be like, hey, here's me and my ex-wife taking a beautiful romantic vacation vacation together, but at least I have it for myself. I made the Ireland video. I very much fell in love with that style of videography, but it is very hard to make a career in that style of videography unless you're working for a huge organization where they're paying you to go make these types of videos, which there's like a handful of those types of jobs, and it's reserved for people that have much better equipment and much more knowledge and whatever than I do. So I knew if I went that route, I wasn't going to make it very far. And plus, I really do enjoy doing vlogging and challenge videos and series and, you know, whatever I've been doing on the internet. I really do enjoy this because, as I said in my last video, it's very therapeutic, like an online diary for me. I still get to edit, I still get to film, I still get to do all the things I love. But if I was to choose, I would do travel videos for the rest of my life. But basically, where I was getting at, I think where all of this started, was I was gonna show you this backpack. I have different backpacks for different needs. So this is my everyday backpack that holds a couple external hard drives and my computer and my chargers and whatever. And I think this is what I'm going to take on the plane. A ratty old Lululemon backpack, but it gets the job done. If I'm going somewhere where I think there's going to be rain, I always bring this because it's a very convenient travel backpack to take because it is waterproof. When I take huge vacations, I have, guys, you have no idea how heavy it is. I have this bad boy. It holds every piece of equipment I own plus this. So when I am going, let's say, over Christmas, I'm probably going to be going back to Iceland to see the Northern Lights. I'm going to take this and this. So these are going to be, this is going to be my carry-on plus my personal item, because I have noticed when they always say that they run out of room for overheads or carry-ons, they will never ask you to check a backpack. So even if all of the overhead storage is full, they will never ask me to check this. And so this is how I guarantee to keep all of my equipment in one place and super safe, because I'll just tell them I'll slide this under the seat because this is so small, I can fit both under the seat. They're not going to take it away. So what I have to do now is I have to decide what I'm bringing to Florida. I'm not going to make a cinematic video while I'm in Florida because, no offense if you live in Florida, but it's Florida, and we're not going to be doing cinematic things. Like, I'm hanging with the kids. We're going to the beach, we're going to the pool, we're going to go look at alligators. But I do like to go through it before any trip I take to make sure I'm not missing anything, because the worst thing that could possibly happen, I mean, I guess there are worse things that could possibly happen, but one of the most inconvenient things that can happen while I'm on vacation is I get to a spot and I realize I'm missing one piece of my equipment, a lens I need, a charger. I'm bringing a checked bag because my best friend is also sending me home with a lot of stuff, a lot of her sweatshirts that I've been so envious of every time I see her wearing them. She's giving to me because she has so many political sweatshirts. And when she called me the other day and asked if I could leave a little extra room in my checked bag, I said, girl, why aren't you taking these to Europe? And she goes, because no one would understand. And that really took me a second. That one hit hard. All the sweatshirts that she has, like this one says, mind your own uterus. No one in Europe would understand this, especially where she's moving. They wouldn't understand this. And so all of those sweatshirts that are talking about Black Lives Matter and Smushmortions is basic health care and immigrants make America great again, and you know, just all of these phrases that we're constantly spouting, if that was on a piece of clothing and she were to wear it to the country and city that she's moving to, people would look at her like she's nuts, because that kind of thinking doesn't register to them. They don't have those problems over there, and therefore there's no need for people to make sarcastic and snarky merch out of it. And so she said, I'm gonna pack it and you enjoy it. So anyway, I'm gonna try and pack light. So this is gonna have to hold whatever camera equipment I wanna bring with me and my laptop. First things first, I need to figure out what's already in this backpack and get it out and get it somewhere where it's organized. And while I do this, I'm going to answer some of the questions. Okay, so someone on my Instagram said, what has been the easiest and hardest part about moving to Texas with your girlfriend? Easiest part, obviously, has been being able to be with my girlfriend all the time. And it's amazing because we were long distance for the first 10 months of our relationship, and that sucked. We don't have to schedule flights. We don't have to work around work anymore. It's just, we get to be here together, and it's amazing. I feel like a lot of people take that for granted. And obviously the hardest part about moving to Texas is that I'm in Texas. If you are new here, and you haven't gathered by now, I am very liberal, and I don't appreciate Republicans. I don't appreciate conservatives. I don't appreciate pew-pews, and you get a lot of that here. And so even though Austin is amazing, and it's a little liberal hub of Texas, I feel very safe here. The second you step outside of Austin, it becomes a very Republican state once again, and so I really don't like that. I don't like giving them my money by living here. I don't like the laws here, so that sucks. Someone said, would you recommend moving to Texas? Go anywhere else. Except I will say there are some states that are worse than Texas, and how pathetic is that? If you value basic human rights, don't move to Texas. Someone asked, how is Frankie handling the move? He's handling it wonderfully. Love it. Before we moved, my girlfriend and I had a very serious talk about how we had to give him time to adjust, because we knew he's a very sensitive boy. Much like his mommies, he's very sensitive. And so we knew when we moved into a new place with new smells and new sounds, and it wasn't his home, and it was much bigger than his old home, and there was a new routine, and yada, 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 we knew he was going to freak out. So we talked about how it was probably going to take a good 2 or 3 months for him to even come out from underneath the bed. He shocked us all. Within 3 or 4 days, he was strutting his stuff around this place. We think he very much loves the extra space here and all of the extra hiding spaces here, because he loves running in and out of the guest room and hiding under the guest bed, and he loves exploring the guest bathroom, and he loves exploring our huge walk-in closet in our bedroom. So we think he loves having the extra space to climb and have zoomies and to hide and to explore things, because that boy is thriving. We were definitely expecting him to hide and to be angry and to lash out and to pee some places he shouldn't, because cats do that when they're mad, but he didn't. He's loving life. The only thing he's still a little scared of is when he can hear people in the hallway outside of our door, but he was like that at our old place. He would always growl at the door and then run and hide, and he does that here. So that's not like a new behavior, but he loves it. He loves it. He loves all the windows. I can't wait to give you guys an apartment tour. I know in my last video I said it was gonna be 2 weeks before he gave you one, but we ended up getting slammed with so much work and life that the apartment tour is gonna have to wait until I get back from Florida. But our living room has these huge, massive windows. We're in a corner unit, and so there's just windows everywhere, and he loves sitting on the little ledge and watching the people down below. He just loves everything here, and it makes us so happy. That was a huge relief. Someone asked, where are your top 3 places to travel in the future? Number 1 is I want to see the Northern Lights. And so even though I've already been to Iceland, I went to Iceland during the summer where there are very rare Northern Lights. So I'm going back in December/January, because this winter is supposed to be the best display of Northern Lights in years and years and decades and decades and decades. That is top of my bucket list. Number 2 thing is where I want to go after that, which is Mexico, because I want to go swimming with the whale sharks, and I want to see the monarch butterfly migration. And then my number 3 is somewhere where me and my girlfriend want to go very badly together. We want to go to Jordan, and it's in the Middle East. She's obsessed with camels, and so she wants to go somewhere that there's camels, and I really want to go visit somewhere in the Middle East, but somewhere where I can be safe, because a lot of the Middle Eastern countries, it's against the law to be a part of the queer community, and Jordan is, I have to be careful in how I phrase this, so feel free to politely please correct me down in the comments, but from what I know, Jordan is one of very few Muslim countries where being gay is not illegal. Same-sex marriage is still not recognized there, but you can't be jailed for being gay. And so desperately visiting somewhere in the Middle East is high on my bucket list, because it is just so different from anywhere else in the world, and I want to see it, and I want to experience it, and I want to meet the people there and get to know the culture, but I have to pick a place where it's safe. My girl will get to see her camels. I really want to see Petra, the ancient city there. I'll put a picture here so you can see what I'm talking about. And I really want to go somewhere in the Middle East, so it all works out. Someone asked if I am still looking at getting a dog, and I go back and forth on this every freaking day. It's just not responsible right now, because my life is still not super stable right now, and so it wouldn't be fair to bring a dog into that. I feel as though my girlfriend and I are still trying to get settled and find our footing and figure out schedules and figure out basically what we want to do with life. And I think the last thing we need right now is adding a huge stressor onto all of these huge decisions we have coming up. And at the same time, it would be so amazing to have a dog through these stressful situations, because dogs bring me a lot of anxiety relief, and they make me feel very complete, and they make me feel very, loved and secure and blah, 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 all the amazing things that dogs do. And so while it would be nice to have a dog for my own anxiety and for my own selfish reasons, it would not be fair to the dog because I don't know when I'm moving. I don't know where I'm moving. I don't have a very stable schedule, I guess. And I do want to travel a lot. And so I don't want to get a dog just for selfish reasons. I don't know. To be determined. Someone asked, do I work out? I don't. I did gymnastics for a really long time, and exercise was used as a huge punishment. And so I'm still trying to work through the trauma of correlating exercise to anxiety and exercise to disappointment and exercise to not being good enough. I'm trying to find healthy ways to work around that. I love going for walks. So I do walks on Rover, and I do a lot of dog sitting. I love hiking. I love working out with my girlfriend. It's really fun to work out with my girlfriend, but I would never find myself voluntarily exercising on my own. I'll go and play a game of tennis. I'll go rock climbing. I'll go swimming, but I would never walk into a gym and be like, yeah, that's what I want to do today. I want to lift heavy things up and put them back down. Or run. Oh my God, that was used as such a huge punishment in the gym that I was in. It was just so messed up. That is a big trauma that I'm still working through. Someone asked what my skincare routine and products are. This is so funny. I've been getting this question a lot recently. I don't have a filter on my camera, and I don't really use makeup except like on my eyes. And so this actually makes me really happy because a couple people have been asking this recently, so I must be doing something right. But genuinely, all I do is I wash my face at night with this, and then I use Curology right now because every time I try to not use Curology, because it is so expensive, every time I try to not use it, my skin starts breaking out again. So I have to figure out what's in this precious little bottle and where I can get it outside of Curology to make it myself so that I don't have to keep paying so much. If they want to sponsor me, I can tell you more about how great they are. And then in the morning, I wash my face again with this, and then I put on this moisturizer, and then I put on this sunscreen, and that's it. That's all I do. I don't know. I think it's just because I'm older and your skin tends to chill out once you get older. Someone asked, why do you and most Americans wear shoes in the house? We don't. We're a no shoe household, but it happened to be that the photo I posted to ask my followers if they had any questions to ask me, I had my shoes on because we were actively moving into our home, carrying boxes from the sidewalk and the car and the elevator into our home. It wouldn't have made sense for me to take off my shoes every time we walk into the home. Whatever. Once we got moved in, we steamed everything, mopped everything, vacuumed everything, and now we are a no shoe household because I do think that's gross. It's so gross. You should look into the science behind it. It's gross. So I highly recommend you don't wear shoes in your house. Okay, we're gonna end on a really cute note, and then I'll show you what I'm putting in my backpack. What makes you happy? Ooh, okay, so much. Anytime I see a dog, rain and thunderstorms make me so unbelievably happy, to the point where when it rains now, my girlfriend just opens the sliding glass door to our porch and grabs my hand and then sits us out on the porch so we can watch the thunderstorm together. And that's one of my favorite things. I love when my nieces and nephews call me. I love talking to all of my friends on FaceTime, but especially when my best friend FaceTimes me and it's my nieces and nephews that answer the phone. Serotonin through the roof, because they're finally getting to the ages where they enjoy talking to me, not just saying hi. They like telling me about their day and asking me questions and asking to see Frank, and that makes me very happy. Good food makes me happy. TikTok makes me happy. A lot of people are trying to do social media cleanses for their mental health, which obviously I did a little mini version of that where I wasn't on Instagram for a while, but there's this whole notion behind going on social media for your serotonin is not healthy. But I say to a point, it kind of is. I love being productive and happy and social and healthy during the day. And then I love a good TikTok hour where I just sit on the couch, don't talk to me. But if I want to talk to you and show you a funny TikTok, I'm going to do it. And you have to pay attention right now immediately and drop everything else you're doing. But don't you dare interrupt my TikTok time. I love rotting on TikTok for an hour. It makes me so happy. And it truly, for me, doesn't do anything negative for my mental health. I learn things, I educate myself, I see funny things, I get to see parts of the world that I would never get to experience in real life. It's amazing. I love TikTok. I think it is such a gift. I think social media like that is such a freaking gift. Or maybe I just have my TikTok so well tailored that it doesn't cause any damage to me. I love when my girlfriend cooks and that we watch dance films together on the couch every night and we snuggle. And I love, we have this little voice that we do for Frankie that we have been made fun of several times. And now I'm a little traumatized that I'm probably gonna get made fun of if I do it on the internet, but we have this little voice that we do for Frankie, and her and I will sit there and at all hours of the day. We will talk for him, and it brings me so much joy. I'll just do a little example, and then you have to promise not to make fun of me. So he'll jump up on the bed, and we'll grab him, and we'll be cuddling him, and then I'll go, all right, stupid mommies, that's enough tuddles. It's time for breakfast. So anyway, I have done nothing I was supposed to do at all. This is what happens every FaceTime with Emily, where I attempt to do a mundane task. I get nothing done. So I'm gonna check back in 10 minutes when I have my bag packed, and I'll show you everything that I'm putting in there. But if I didn't get to your question, I'm gonna get to it next video. I'll do another one of these, and yuppers. Okay, bye. Okay. Our friend just got here. She's spending the night, so I have to be fast. I always start by putting my laptop in first to make sure I can fit everything else. And then my vlog camera goes in. And then I make sure the charger goes in. My GoPro in. And I make sure my GoPro charger goes in. And then this is actually really cool. It's called a Spivo. I attach my GoPro to it, and it starts shooting one way, and then I can press the button, and it'll rotate the GoPro around so I can get both things, what is in front of me, and I can film myself, and I just have to click the little button, and it's actually really nifty. I know it looks kind of dumb, but it's really nifty. And if you don't have these already, strongly recommend them. I'll put the picture of them right here to get them on Amazon, but they keep all your cords together really nicely. And then I'm gonna bring my film camera. It doesn't require a charger, so I don't need that. And then I always bring an extra external hard drive with me so that if I have way too much footage, I can dump it on here and then just keep going. This little guy, I showed him in my Christmas haul. Oh my God, it's so amazing. I'll put a picture here of what it does. But basically it attaches to your closed food tray on the airplane, and then your phone can be right there. And so you don't have to like lean over and watch your phone like this. It's boom right there. Freaking amazing. Also, just putting it out there. When you pack, if you have a partner, pack for you and for them. So that's why I have double the chargers and double the headphones, because the last thing I want is a grumpy girlfriend. Oh, and I'm leaving for Virginia and Florida tomorrow. She's leaving for Tennessee tomorrow, and then she's meeting me down in Florida, and then we're flying from Florida back to Austin together, which is why I'm packing extra stuff for her. And so just in case, we both have AirPods, but just in case the AirPods die or something's going on, whatever, I always bring extra pluggable headphones for the airplanes. And then I also bring her these headphones that she can plug into her iPhone. I don't have that type of iPhone anymore because I have the 15 Pro or something where they changed the stupid port on it, but these are for her in case she needs it. I'm also bringing an extra charger for her in case she needs it. These little adapters are great. So you plug it into iPhones, iPads, whatever, and then you can plug headphones into it. So I'll bring that for the kids just in case. I don't know. I freak out. Like I told you, I was overpack. I always bring these. It's to clean out your headphones and earbuds. My ears get so gross when I'm traveling. I get extra earwax on planes, and so I need this. I always bring a pack of cards. Oh, and this is great. It's a travel pillow, but you blow it up, and so it doesn't take up space, because everyone has those neck pillows, but who wants to walk around the airport with a neck pillow getting all the germs over it? And so this is great. You just undo it, you blow into the little hole, please don't be weird, and then it blows up into a neck pillow, and it's actually really comfy. And so look how tiny it is, and then it just goes right in there. Oh yeah, make fun of me for this. I get really bad motion sickness on planes, and so not only do I have an entire baggie to combat that, this is filled with Dramamine, ginger pills, motion sickness patches, Imodium just in case it decides to come out the other end, and then stuff you put on your tongue that makes you not sick. Zofran, they give the pregnant ladies. This is my Emily's tummy holds emergency packet, but just in case, I don't know what it is. I've never had to use one of these, but it always makes me feel better. I always bring a trashable, reusable bag and put it at the top of my backpack. So just in case I do have to puke on the flight, I have that right there, and I can pull it out, because sometimes they forget to put the little pukey bags in the back of your seat. And I think the fact that I just have it ready to go cures my nausea, because I think the majority of my nausea comes from my anxiety. So if I know that I have a proper place to puke, the nausea goes away because my anxiety goes away. It's dumb. Anyway, I always pack gum. Also, pro tip, lollipops are really good for when you're nauseous. I always start sucking on one of these if I'm gonna get nauseous. I always have a tampon just in case. You never freaking know. I always carry a little bit of cash on me just in case. I also am bringing this hotel lock. I'm very paranoid about flights getting delayed and then them putting you up in hotels, and I'm always worried if they put me up in a hotel that something bad's gonna happen. These door locks are a lifesaver. I'm gonna put the picture right here where you can get it on Amazon. Incredible. Highly recommend. They're so simple, so lightweight. And then I always bring some Sani wipes. I have to sit on a window seat or else I freak out and have a panic attack. And I use this to wipe down the TV tray and the TV and the window and the little piece of airplane that my face is going to be on, even though I have my neck pillow. And then I always bring wet wipes for my hands and hand sanitizer. And I always bring an extra mask, and I think that's it. I just have to grab my computer charger, which is right there, and I'm charging my AirPods, and I always bring an external battery with me as well. And pro tip, these locks are really cool because when I do put my big backpack in the overhead bin, which has a ridiculous amount of equipment in it, you just put this through the zippers and then lock it, and then you can sleep soundly. It's really nice having these locks on because obviously someone can still take your bag, but then they're stuck on the plane with you and they can't get into it. And so I always recommend having these little locks on. I'm paranoid. And of course, I always pack my medication and I always pack enough contacts to get me through the trip. So that way, if my checked bag gets lost, at least I can still see and at least I'm mentally stable. So there's your fun tip for the day. But I think we're good. It's heavy. I don't know why I do this to myself. Anyway, thank you for joining me for another FaceTime with Emily. Sorry this was so long, but not sorry because I enjoy doing long ones. And everyone said last time that they like long ones too. So if you don't like long ones, don't care. Anyway, all right, love you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Go follow me on Instagram. And I think the next video I'm going to post is going to be a little Florida vlog. So I'll see you in Florida. And yep. All right, love you. Bye.